Good afternoon. This is Carolina Gilcapi from Sade Adventures, and I am hopping on here to share a trip to Africa with you. This particular 2-week trip has South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and even a day in Botswana. So let me share my screen and you will be able to see the itinerary, and that way we can go through it together and jot down any questions, see how the dates work for you. Let me know if there's any activities that are not on here that you still want to include. And of course, any tweaks, any questions, this is your trip, so we can further perfect it. So I based the trip on October 2024. Just so you know, Kruger National Park is so popular that at least 5 lodges that I contacted out of the 15 have already been sold out completely. So it's definitely a place in the world that we plan ahead. So I'm so happy that you're planning a year in advance, because we can get you availability and we can get you the best rates. I'm actually working on a number of rates that are 2023 pricing for 2024 dates. So booking ahead, great idea. Day 1 is your international flight to Johannesburg. And day 2, which is October 6th, you will land at the Johannesburg International Airport, go through customs, get your luggage, and my team will meet you there once you have everything sorted. Big Sade Adventure sign with your name on it, private car waiting for you. So it depends on the number of people we have. If we have a 12-person group, then we'll do a mini bus. If we have 22 people, obviously we need a first-class coach bus so that we can accommodate not only 22 seats, but also all the luggage. Private throughout, and we rest in Johannesburg for 2 nights. Why did we include Johannesburg on this itinerary? Because it is really important after taking a really long flight. Many of you will fly for 18 hours or more, stopping somewhere en route. It is changing times. It is exhausting. So it is a good place to relax and rest after your travels, acclimate and get used to the new time zone without spending a lot of money, as opposed to going straight to Kruger National Park, which is the most expensive part of your journey, but you're going to be exhausted. So it's always nice to spend time in Johannesburg. We like to use the little boutique hotels here in Johannesburg so that there's a lot of flavor, a lot of local feel to the properties. Peach Boutique is one of the ones that we use quite often, but I have at least 10 in my back pocket in case we need something bigger. Now, on October 7th, my team will come back and show you the best of Johannesburg. There is so much culture here. There's so much rich history, museums, Nelson Mandela's home, of course, Soweto, which is the most famous township in Africa. So we will do all of these highlights. We will explore a little bit, come across local people, go to the markets, have lunch in the really bustling part of the township. It's a beautiful experience and a great place to unwind. Now, for how can we tweak this? If anybody wants to include a cooking class, we can do it. If anyone wants to go biking, we can do that around the township as well. So there's many different ways we can enjoy Johannesburg, but right now you have a private tour for all the sites with lunch arranged. Then we bring you back to the hotel, because the next day we are flying to Kruger National Park, because we're starting our 5-night safari experience. I included 5 nights for you because you're going to Africa, to this part of Africa, to enjoy game drives and safari and wildlife. And if you try to just do it in 2 nights or 3 nights, you're really going to cut it short, and you're really not going to have the experience that you're imagining, because the more time you are on game drives, the more opportunity to see different animals, the big 5, coming across animals doing different things, the more time you spend on the game drives, the better. So I suggest minimum 4 nights. On this itinerary, I included 5 nights, and let me show you why. So once you fly to Kruger National Park, which has multiple airports, I always handpick the airports that are closest to the lodges that I work with. So on this itinerary, we will fly to Skukuza Airport. This is the newest airport in Kruger. And the reason for that is I included the Shalati Train on Bridge Lodge, which is a fantastic experience, one of the most unique lodges there is. It's an old train track, quite historic, quite famous, that was purchased out by a private reserve and is now a hotel. There's, I believe, 31 rooms on the train track, all luxury, so beautiful, amazing views. It hangs over a river. So all of this public area where the pools are, where the living rooms are all open. And then there's a river underneath. What does it mean when you go to a riverside on a safari? It means that there are animals coming to drink, especially in October where it's still really dry. It means they're congregating at the watering holes, and it is very exciting right from your rooms, right from the pool. Beautiful start to a safari experience. So you're going to spend 2 nights at the Shalati, and I included this photo here for you just so you can get an idea of what the cars look like in Kruger. Every country in Africa that I've been to has different vehicles for specific reasons. In Kruger, you do not go on game drives for 8 hours, for 6 hours, like you would in Tanzania or in Kenya. You're going out in the morning, then you're coming back for a beautiful lunch. You're going out in the afternoon, have sundowners, then come down for dinner. So you're not spending more than 3 hours in the vehicles at once, so they can be open. So you are exposed to the elements because there's very little chance of you getting soaked or getting cold. And they do hot water bottles and blankets in the morning, and they do a beautiful experience on the game drives for you. That is one of the reasons why I love Kruger as your first game safari experience, because you're not spending majority of your time in a car. You're spending it enjoying the activities. So in Shalati, you will have multiple experiences included, like the game drives, going to a local village so you can meet a local community. There is a lot of give back from the lodges that I work with to the local communities. If not supporting them, then employing them and letting them be a part of the lodge, which is going to take me to the second lodge that I have included for you. But I always enjoy combining a traditional lodge with something unique. So your Shalati experience is something unique. And then afterwards, we will transfer over to the Abilana Game Reserve. It's a completely different park around Kruger. And this will be a traditional lodge, beautiful setting under these huge fig trees, really wonderful experience. And here we will spend 3 nights. Why are we doing two experiences? Because different parts of the park will have different animal congregations and a different experience for you, different views. And it's fun to combine 2 different lodges. That way you'll get, it's like two separate vacations. So I highly suggest it. Now, in all the lodges throughout, you have all your meals included, all your game drives included. The transportation will be arranged by us because you do have a group. And of course, all the extra things that I specified here on the itinerary, like the visit to the village, like the walking safaris that you'll be able to do as well, they are included. The hotel also includes boma dinners, which is usually after dark, surrounded by a fire, and you have a beautiful meal in the bush, the sundowners, and so on. Another thing that we included for you while we're here for 3 nights at the Abilana is a hot air balloon safari. This is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be able to see wildlife from air. It's quite beautiful. It's quite magical, actually, to get up in the morning before the sun and enjoy this experience. So this is also included for you. And then your 3rd day on Abilana is 2 game drives. So you wake up in the morning, you go on a game drive, you come back, have a beautiful breakfast, rest, maybe go to the pool, do an afternoon game drive, have a boma dinner. This is life on safari. Every day is different. And really, Kruger has such protective laws of the wildlife. And because there's so many private reserves, you are not going to just be on paved roads like you would be in some of the lodges that are directly inside the park. You will be on private game reserves, which means if a lion goes in a bush, the car follows the lion into the bush. And it's so exciting and such a beautiful experience. So this particular lodge, the Abilana, one more note before we move on to Victoria Falls, is that there is a local indigenous community that lives in the area, and you will see them working the lodge, being part of the lodge, really bringing a lot of culture to this accommodation, because the owner of the lodge really wants them to be a part of the experience. So I think that just makes it that much special. Now day 9, we've now been in Africa for over a week and we are flying to Victoria Falls. So I was mentioning to you that a lot of companies will fly you back to Johannesburg, spend the night, and then continue to Zimbabwe and Zambia. There is no need for that. We always plan it out to fly from Nelspruit to Livingston, and that flight is nonstop. As you see, it's less than 2 hours, and you are in Zimbabwe. We will tour both the Zimbabwe side and the Zambia side, so don't worry about that. We will help you with your visas on arrival. It's super simple. You can get them at the airport when you land, and then when we're crossing. So all of that is arranged as well. And then going back to South Africa, just so you know, there are no visas needed for South Africa, and there are no vaccinations needed for this trip either. And that makes it so much easier as well, especially when planning a group trip. So once you arrive and you settle in, we're going to go down to the river, to the Zambezi River, and have a sundowner cruise, which is a really traditional thing to do here in Victoria Falls. And even though this is a waterfalls kind of trip, bear in mind there are hippos in the river, there are giraffes hanging out, there are zebras in the front of the hotel. So it is still a wildlife experience continuing. We chose the Palm View Hotel simply because they have accommodations still available for October, which is wonderful. It's a beautiful hotel, boutique style, beautiful indoor outdoor living, some of the best restaurants, and there's a number of hotels like this on the river that we work with, but this one is really lovely for your group. So you will be here for 3 nights. That first night is our cruise down the river. The second day is a full day dedicated to both Zambezi, to the Zimbabwe and Zambia side of the falls. So your guide will stay with you and show you the best of it. We'll help you with the logistics of crossing and so on. And then the day will end at the Devil's Pool. And whoever is brave enough can get in the water here. And don't worry, it's completely safe. My team stays with you to make sure everybody is held down and tied down and whatnot. And then we will have lunch in this area as well. So it's a beautiful experience. The waterfall, the Victoria waterfalls are different throughout the year. Sometimes they're extremely majestic and filled, and sometimes they are like ribbons of water. But regardless of when we go, it's quite beautiful. And then October 15th, we are staying one more day in Victoria Falls because you are right there on the border of Botswana. And what's famous here is the Chobe National Park. So we will do a full day adventure into the Chobe Park. Now, this is kind of arranged by the rangers there. So it is by car and by boat. So it's completely different from all the other game drives that you have done. This one will be by boat. But why do we go here? Because there are thousands and thousands of elephants here. This is where the elephants are most congregated. It is spectacular to see them. Of course, you will see buffalo and hippos in the water and even crocodiles, but we come here to see the magnificent elephant and what they are capable of, and you will learn all about that at the Chobe Park. And then we come back after lunch to Zimbabwe and spend your last night there. Before, on October 16th, we fly to Cape Town. Again, we will fly now. Instead of Livingston, we'll go to the Victoria Falls airport, which is closer to your hotel, and fly to Cape Town. It's a 3-hour flight, nonstop. So it's not like you're wasting your whole day. You can leave after leave after a late breakfast, arrive before dinner time, and this is how we welcome you to Cape Town. We do a spice experience. So it's a beautiful restaurant. They do a really beautiful, intimate, private experience for your group. Well, you'll be tasting spices. Well, you have dinner served. There'll be drumming. There'll be live music. It's a really great welcome back to South Africa. And then the hotel we chose is another great boutique hotel, Pepper Club. All about Cape Town is the views, seeing Table Mountain, being able to be indoors, outdoors, and just, enjoying being able to step outside and walk to restaurants. That's really important in Cape Town because it's such a fun, modern metropolitan city. So you want to be able to have access to all of that. And this one has the great rooftop as well. So October 17th, we're going to show you the best of Cape Town. Cape Town deserves a proper tour. Of course, Table Mountain is key. We're going to do the gondola ride to the top. If anyone wants to hike, you can hike down from there if you want, or we can hike to the Lions Mountain to have a great view of Table Mountain. So let me know if we have any hikers. But besides Table Mountain, we'll see the markets and we'll see the spice areas, and we'll go to the colorful part. And then we'll do an afternoon in Franschhoek, which is the wine region, and we'll do a wine blending experience. Now, I've just done this in Mendoza, Argentina, and it was so much fun to be able to create our own wine and, you know, blend it and cork it and label it. It's a great group experience. So I think you will have a lot of fun doing that. And then the next day, if you look at a map of Cape Town, it is just in the area where the southernmost part of the continent is, and that's Cape Point. So we will spend a whole gorgeous day driving down the coast, going to Boulders Beach where the jackass penguins live, having a beautiful seafood lunch, and of course going down to the point, which is magnificent. I mean, it's spectacular. You can do a nice walk out there to the lighthouse and really stand at the most southern tip of Africa. It's a great day not to be missed if you're in Cape Town. And then on the 19th, we will take you back to the airport, which will be now in Cape Town, and you will fly home. That is 2 weeks in Africa. We will start in Johannesburg, end in Cape Town. And of course, I can help you with those flights as well. I will send this itinerary to you right now. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what tweaking needs to be done, and then we can discuss pricing next. Thank you so much for listening. Happy travels.